In this video, we are going to build artificial neural network for prediction of a cardiovascular disease. So before starting to building the neural network, let's revise some basics here. So first of all, what is a neuron? Neuron is nothing but it's a basic fundamental unit of a human nervous system. So see, neurons are responsible for transferring the electrical and chemical signals from external resources from the real world to the brain, and they also transfer the signals from the brain to other parts of the body. So each neuron has something called as a dendrites and synapse. It's like head and tail part, and each synapse is connected to dendrite of other neuron. So by this connection, they are able to transform the electrical signals, and this connection goes on. This forms a very huge network, and in a human body, there are some billions of neurons, which consist the entire nervous system. So now, what is an artificial neural network? So in machine learning or deep learning, artificial neural network is nothing but it's an implementation in such a way that we are trying to mimic the human brain behavior. However, the human neurons are working. If you are trying to mimic the same behavior using the mathematics and statistics in deep learning, that is simply an artificial neural network. So in what are we working with here? See, each artificial neural network will have mainly three parts. One is a input layer, and hidden layer, and output layer, and each layer has something called as neurons. These are artificial neurons. So these are nothing but whatever the parameters that you are passing it into the model, and they all are interconnected with each other, and they move the information, they move the data from one layer to other layer, and the output is being returned through the output layer. So what are we doing in the artificial neural network? So once epoch has been run, that is where the data is flown from the input layer to the output layer, we are going to calculate something called as a loss. Now, what is a loss function? See, in machine learning, what we do is like in order to reach, in order to understand how the data is data is, we perform something called as a gradient descent. Gradient nothing but we try to build a perfect line or perfect model so that it overlaps the data. So here, when the output is being formed in the output layer, we send it back and we back propagate again into the neural network. Now let's try and build a neural network for the cardiovascular disease. So for this, the dataset we are going to use is from the Kaggle. Kaggle provides this dataset called as a cardiovascular disease dataset. It is a real dataset which consists of records of 70,000 patients, and it has 11 features. So let's look at what are those features. The features are: one is age of the person in days, and his height, his weight, his gender, his BP, systolic and diastolic pressures, and cholesterol, categorical variable cholesterol is in, and glucose, smoking, alcohol intake, physical activity. These all are categorical variables, right? So they are divided into categories. Like category 1 is for normal cholesterol, and 2 is for above normal, and 3 is very high. The same way the dataset has been prepared, and let me show you the dataset here. So this is how a dataset looks. Each record has an ID, and what is his age, and the category which it belongs to, gender. One is for women, two is for men, and his height in centimeters, his weight in kgs, his pressures, blood pressures, and cholesterol, glucose, smoke, alcohol, active, whether he's doing performing physical activity or not, and this target variable. Now let's jump into our IDE. And so the IDE which we are going to use is Google Colab. Yes, we can also use other services like Jupyter Notebook or Spider, etc. But I prefer using Google Colab because they Google we are not running it in our local machine. We are running it in the Google server, where we can also get a GPU for free, and we are getting about 12 gigs of RAM and 100 gigs of disk storage. Hence, I'm going to use Google Colab for this neural network. Let's start coding. import the libraries. So what are the libraries we need? We need pandas, we need numpy, and we need TensorFlow. So let's go and do that. In the meanwhile, let's also load the data. Okay. So this is the data set. So I'm going uploading it into the Google Drive. Okay. Let's check for which version that we are using. Let's just do one thing. Instead of using entire TensorFlow, I'm gonna give it a name called as TF. So yeah, I'm on TensorFlow 2, and let's load our data. We're gonna use pandas for this. Pandas has something called as read underscore CSV, and the data is called as cardio underscore train.csv. Yes, the data is as loaded. Now let's just quickly see what the data, how the data looks like. Data, we're gonna watch head of the data and some 7 rows. So yeah, this is how our data looks. It has ID and age, etc. So now that we loaded the data set, the one thing we have to do is to pre-process the data. Is the number one step which we don't want to do while building any model. What we are going to do is we're going to clean the data and we're going to prepare it so that we can train it into a model. So first thing that I'm observing is that ID is unique for each number, and it does not help in training of the data. That's why we're going to delete this column. We're going to simply delete data of ID, and now once we check the shape of this data, uh, we can see that we are having only 12 columns. In that, first 11 are features, and 12th one is a target variable. So let's split the data here. Before that, let's check for the any null values. So yeah, we can see that there are no missing values in the data, so we can go ahead with our next step. The next step would be to split the data. I'm going to split it into two variables. One is x, which contains all the features. So I'm going to take all the columns and all the rows except last row, and the same with y. See, in machine learning or deep learning, the general convention is to use capital letters for features and small letters for target variable. That's why I'm using capital X and small y here. And all the rows for the last column. Yes, we did it. Let's check if the data is splitted correctly or not. Yes, we're able to split the data, and now we're going to split the data again into the training and test set. So, we're going to use 80% of the data into the training and 20% data for the further testing. So for that, we need a module from sklearn. So once we did that, so we're gonna divide it into like this: x underscore train, comma x underscore test, and y underscore train, comma y underscore test. And we're gonna use train test split, and you can see it takes arguments like when go to the documentation here. and it takes what are the x and what are the y. In our case, the x is capital X and y is small y. Apart from that, it takes a argument called as test size. So what is the size of data we need into the test size? So let's take 20% into the test site. So automatically 80% is being into the training data, and random state we can keep it as default. Random state is nothing but how the data has been splitted. Okay, let's go ahead and run that. Now if you can see xtrain dot shape. So out of the 7,000 data, 56,000 are into the training data. That is 80% of it. Now we did up to this part. One thing is left here. That is, we can see that some of the columns are very high and other are very low. So they are not properly scaled. So while training the artificial neural networks, we need to do scaling, because without doing scaling, the artificial neural network takes huge time to train and it does not converge quickly. So we're going to scale our data set. Scale learn dot, it is in the pre-processing. We're going to import standard scalar, and once we did that, we're gonna create a object for that. Sc is equal to standard scalar, and once we got that, we're gonna train this standard scalar on our xtrain. X underscore train is equal to sc dot, we're gonna fit and transform the data, and using that same thing we're gonna also transform our test data. One thing you can observe here, that in the first case while training we did fit underscore transform, but while for the test data we did not do that, because once we fit and transform the data on xtrain, the sc contains the what are the training details of the xtrain. So we are using that same scaling factor and transforming the test data, and we are not again fitting it. We are using the same variable and just transforming the x test here. So now the data is also scaled. Now the only thing that's left is to build the model itself. Building the neural network. So building the neural network. So we have already talked in the intuition that a neural network is nothing but it's a sequence of layers, right? It's going to have an input layer, a hidden layer, and output layer. So in order to build a neural network, first we need to initialize with a sequential class. So we're going to create an object of sequential class. We can do that. Let's call our model as ANN, and we're going to initialize with a sequential, but a sequential is present in TensorFlow. Dot models dot sequential. So go ahead and run that. So once it is created, now it's our step to add the layers. So now we're going to add the layer. First input layer. So it is very easy to add layers using Keras. Simply we have to do ann dot add, and here we're going to add our layers. Using TensorFlow, it's very easy. Keras dot layers dot, we're going to add a dense layer. So this is the documentation here. A dense layer takes few parameters. In that, first thing is units. Units is nothing but how many artificial neurons that you are going to initialize it. See, this is not something, there is no formula for how many units you have to gonna initialize it with. We're gonna have to do it experimentally, because we never know what is the best units for a model. So let's just do it with, let's say, 10 units. See, I'm just taking some random number, and we're gonna try and optimize it afterwards. And it also takes something called as activation function. It also takes something called as activation function, and along with that it also takes input dimensions. So in our case the input dimensions are 11, so we're gonna give 11 as dimensions. And coming to the activation function, for the first layer we're going to use something called as ReLU activation function, and go ahead and run that. Yes, we are successfully able to create our first input layer. Now once we have done that, we can add our hidden layers. Adding hidden layers is as simple as adding the first input layer. We're gonna do same thing here. Just copy what you did here and paste it down. And things that you're going to change is that, for a hidden layer we don't need input diameter, because it already knows how many dimensions are there in top layer and automatically adjusts according to that. And coming to this activation function, we're going to use sigmoid activation function. And also number of units, you can keep as many units as you can keep 10 units as it is, or you can decrease it to 8 units. That's your wish. And I'm going to add another hidden layer also. We have successfully added our hidden layers. Now it's time to add output layer. See, output layer is similar to that, but one thing we have to take in mind is that output layer will have only one neuron, because our target variable is one, right? We are only the target variable is single variable, which says either we have disease or not. Hence, the unit of the output layer will be one, and we don't need input diameter. The input diameter is only needed for the first input layer, and rest of everything will be taken care by rest everything would be taken care by ANN itself. And activation would, you can continue with the same sigma document activation layer itself, and you're gonna run it. Now the next step is to, now that we completed the architecture, the next step is to just compile and train the model. So compiling the model is as simple as any other step. You're gonna simply call something called as ann.compile, and it's gonna take three parameters. One is which optimizer we are using, and which loss function we are going to use, and other is what metrics we are using. So coming to metrics, we are going to use accuracy. We're gonna calculate the accuracy on the each step. And loss is nothing but it's a loss function. Loss function is nothing but on each step how much loss we are getting, and uh, it's just like calculation of gradient, so that the optimizer will try to decrease the loss so that we can reach the optimal model. So here we are going to use cross entropy cross entropy function, but since the target variable which are using is a binary variable, we're going to use binary cross entropy. OSSPNTROPY. If the data set is different and it has multiple classes, like it has 5 classes, then you use something called as categorical cross entropy. And optimizer, we have many kind of optimizers. We're going to use Adam optimizer. See, there is no definition of which optimizer has to be used when. It's all about trying and testing with different types of optimizers. Optimizer is nothing but how the values are updated on every batch propagation. So we're going to use Atom Optimizer. Now the fun part here. Now we are going to finally train our model on the data. It is we're gonna fit, and it takes two arguments. One is x underscore train and y underscore train, and apart from that it takes number of epochs. Epoch measurement, how many times we are doing the training, how many propagations we are doing. Epochs, let's say, let's start with simply 10 epochs. And is there any parameter that is required? Let's see. Yeah, that's it. And one more important is batch size. So batch is nothing but how many, how many observations you are going to take in each batch. So it's a batch learning, right? So for that we're going to use batch size. Let's say default 10 batches. Maybe you can keep it high, 32 batches. I just given a random number here. And this is the final part. This is a moment of truth, we can say that. We're gonna start training our model. You can see that the epoch has been running, and it shows that 1750 is nothing but the shape of our x train is 56,000, right? So if you divide 56,000 observations with the batches of 32, we're gonna get 1750 batches. Okay, the training has been done. So we started off with an accuracy of 64%, and we started to get an accuracy of 73%. Okay, okay, let's no try with 20 epochs. Let's see if there will be any change. So so while it's training, let me add something here. Predict with a new variable. So yes, we have successfully trained our artificial neural network. Uh, it has trained on our data or around 20 to 30 epochs, and we reached a final accuracy of 70, around 73%. That is very good actually. Uh, so yes, we can optimize the accuracy, by performing many things. See, whatever values whatever parameters we given are basic parameters, like we gave it randomly. So we're going to try and test with multiple different parameters, and we can optimize it so that we can increase accuracy to say, let's say 80% and etc. So now that our model is ready, let's throw a challenge to our model. We're gonna give a new observation from the real world, and let's see what the model has to say. So the new observation is this. So let's say we have a new patient. Self New patient, his age, gender details are provided. So we're gonna input this into our model, and let's see whether what is his heart condition. Does he have any diseases, or is he prone to any diseases, etc.? And if so, what is the percentage? So we're gonna calculate that right now. So for that, we can do simply call ann dot predict, and here we're gonna give the new observations here. So the new observations, let me copy the new observation. So yeah, this is the data. The age of the person was a 18236, and his gender is 1, and he's a man, and his height is 183, his weight is 89, and his systolic blood pressure is 120, and diastole is 80, and cholesterol is normal, glucose is normal, he doesn't smoke, and he doesn't consume alcohol, and he does physical activity. So we should get the result right. But no, see, one thing you should remember, that while training the data, we applied scaling on this data, right? So we did not train on the actual data, we scaled it here. We scaled it using SC. So while predicting also, we have to scale the data by using the same thing. So we're going to perform scaling to the data as well. SC dot, we're going to just transform this data. Yes, brackets are matched, and I think this should do the trick. So once we ran this data, we got so we got something called as 0.31. There's nothing but 30%, 31% chance that he has a heart disease. So let me do one thing. Let's print this if it is greater than 0.5. So it says that false. So yes, the person which we are trying to predict has no disease. If for any chance, if the percentage is greater than 0.5, and he or she has the heart disease. So that's it, guys. So this is how you can build a neural network. You can try it with any other data set and any complex problem. And one thing we have to keep in mind is how the structure is been laid. How we are adding the input layers, how we are adding the hidden layers, output layers, etc. This is just a basic one. We can add multiple hidden layers. You can add multiple dropouts as well. You can try it with different parameters, etc. So we are able to successfully predict whether patient has heart disease or not, and we are also able to display what accuracy and what percentage does he have, what is the chance of having the heart disease, etc. So that's it for this video. I hope this video is useful. Thank you for watching.